Hello again. Now continuing with SIS3. What is SIS3 or System 3? System 3's process name is System Architectural Design. Now, as I already said, you all know what is meant by architecture. Architecture means clearly allocating a given component to the right place. Now, let's read the definition. The purpose of the system architectural design process is to establish a system architectural design and identify which system requirements are to be allocated to which elements of the system and to evaluate the system architectural design against defined criteria. Let me read it once again very carefully. The purpose of the system architectural design is to establish a system architectural design and to identify which system requirements are to be allocated to which elements. Understand this word carefully. Allocated. You have to allocate the right element to the right requirement of the system and to evaluate the system architectural design against defined criteria. Now, what are these base practices? Base practices involves, the first base practice involves developing system architectural design. Develop and document the system architectural design that specifies the elements of the system with respect to functional and non-functional system requirements. Again, this sentence is of utmost importance. Functional and non-functional system requirements. So you have to develop and document the system architectural design that specifies the elements of the system with respect to functional requirements. In the previous slide, I said you have to identify the element and you have to identify the requirement. Let me give you a common example. For example, gas stove is there. Just assume gas stove is the element. And where exactly do you need to allocate it to? It needs to be allocated to the kitchen. You don't allocate gas stove into the drawing room or toilet. Gas stove always go to the kitchen. So likewise, you have to identify the right element with the right functionality. The development and system architectural design typically includes decomposition into elements across appropriate hierarchical levels. This is a very important step. You have to decompose them or organize them or disintegrate them into proper appropriate hierarchical levels. We have to identify which is first, which is second, which is third. What is SIS3 base practice 2? Allocate system requirements. Allocate the system requirements onto the elements of the system architectural design. Now, again, going back to the example, is gas stove or a gas cylinder always goes into the kitchen. You have to allocate. You have to allocate the correct element to the correct functionality. Define interfaces of system elements. Identify, develop, and document the interfaces of each system and element. For example, again, let me go back to the gas stove itself so that all of you can understand. A gas stove, what is the interface of gas stove? It has to be on a platform on the kitchen. In every kitchen, there will be a slightly elevated platform. You don't put the gas stove on the floor or you don't put gas stove on the bed. So you have to be very clear about the interface and you understand the dynamic behavior. How is this element going to behave in different environments? Okay, now coming back to the example of a ECU, a dynamic behavior is described in different operating modes. When you start up, how will the ECU work? When you shut down, it works on the how will it work? Normal mode, calibration, diagnosis, all these things, how will it work? So all these things, understanding is very important. Base practice 5, evaluate alternate system architectures. Define evaluation criteria for the architecture. Understand this word carefully. We have to define the evaluation criteria for the architecture. Define alternate system architecture according to the defined criteria. So it's always better to have more than one architecture so that you can identify the right architecture and the most appropriate architecture. Evaluation criteria may include quality characteristics, modularity, maintainability, expandability, scalability, reliability, security reason, and the results of the make by reuse analysis. Now coming to base practice 6, Again, in every sys level you will see this bidirectional traceability, and I already emphasized the importance of establishing the bidirectional traceability. Established bidirectional traceability between system requirements and elements of the system architectural design, between the system requirements and the elements. Bidirectional traceability covers allocation of the system requirements to elements of the system architectural design. Now, base practice 7, ensure consistency. I already emphasized the importance of this word consistency. Ensure consistency between system requirements and system architectural design. Consistency is supported by bidirectional traceability and can be demonstrated by review records. System requirements typically include system architectural requirements. Now, what is meant by base practice 8? Communicate agreed system architectural design. And once you clearly allocate the elements with the functional requirements, you need to communicate the system architectural design with the stakeholders. You have to be very clear. For example, when for example, you hire an architect designs a home for you, and once he designs the home, he will not directly build the home. He will first communicate the design to you. So likewise, the system architecture also has to be communicated to the end end stakeholder. Now, what are these process outcomes? Now, this may sound a bit repetitive, but these are all important. What are the process outcomes? You have to ensure that once the sys 3 is completed, all these process outcomes and the concerned work products are clearly documented. Now, first is as a result of system successful implementation of this process, a system architectural design is defined that identifies the elements of the system. The system requirements are allocated to elements of the system. The interfaces of each system element are defined. The dynamic behavior of the system elements is defined. The consistency and bidirectional traceability are established between system requirements and system architectural design. The system architectural design is agreed and communicated to all the affected parties. Now, these are all something which we already covered. Now, what are the work products? I'm sure everybody knows what exactly is work product. Work product is nothing but a document. First is system architectural design, communication record, review record, traceability record, interface requirement specification. All these are the main output work products, which are the output of this particular SIS3 step. Thank you.